McDonald's put out a holiday ad. It was done with AI. The backlash was so severe they had to pull the ad. The studio said they hardly slept for several weeks while writing AI prompts and refining shots. AI didn't make this film. We did.
Hold on. They hardly slept for weeks while they were writing these AI prompts.
Here we go. Welcome to the Actor's Guide to the End of the World podcast, where we talk about acting in Hollywood in a way people understand. I'm Econ Song, and this is
Rían Sheehy Kelly. How you doing?
What's up? So if you haven't followed us, follow us wherever you find your podcast at Actor's Guide Podcast. We're on all social media. We're on all the TikTok and the Instagram.
All the TikTok.
And send to a friend if you enjoy the episode. It really helps people find the podcast, and we really appreciate it.
You think you're ready for leading roles? You feel you got that star power? Fuck you. Seriously, who do you think you are?
Welcome to your humility coach, here to always keep you grounded. With this app, you'll have your very own personal coach, keeping you humble.
Are you going to wear that? Don't know if it's ever going to happen. Think you're better than everyone else?
This holiday season, give the gift of humility. Now in Espanol.
Pinche pendejo.
So, word around town, if you haven't heard of the latest McDonald's ad, they did a holiday Christmas ad. Did you actually see it?
I saw it, yeah. Well, I didn't see McDonald's. Okay. I saw the response to it first.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a bad sign when you only hear about the backlash and you never see the ad. So, McDonald's put out a holiday ad. It was done with AI. And the backlash was so severe they had to pull the ad. The studio's response was also really bad, and they had to essentially remove their response. But I'll get to the concept of it because it actually does kind of involve us in a weird way. The studio said they hardly slept for several weeks while writing AI prompts and refining shots. AI didn't make this film. We did.
Hold on. They hardly slept for weeks while they were writing these AI prompts.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's either AI is more work or it's not. You know what I mean? Either it's a total waste of time, and God loved them.
That was one of the very accurate responses, saying that this is supposed to change the world, yet you spent money, time, supposedly, and your ad sucked. So it brings up a lot of questions about what AI is going to do in the future. That's one thing, because a lot of people are starting to get a little more lukewarm about AI in general as far as the prospects.
Well, there's a degree of Schadenfreude that I'm enjoying
happy.
Here,
Exactly.
Because like not only are you cutting people's jobs out and making them obsolete, you're telling us that it's actually more work and you have to sit up writing silly prompts and come up with something that's not very good. That was very easily skewered by another company.
Exactly. So this is actually my Christmas gift to you because I knew that you would love this so much. So I knew that you would enjoy this. Anyway, so the other thing, so the tagline, because of the other reason why it did so poorly, is the concept just wasn't well thought out. It was a big swing. People hated it. It was actually a bunch of Christmas disasters. It was holiday disasters, one after the other. And the joke was, well, just stay at McDonald's. I'm paraphrasing, but it was holiday disasters.
Okay.
And so it was a big swing. It obviously didn't land. The song throughout was what was the song that I was singing two episodes ago? It's the most terrible time of the year. That was their jingle.
Wait, that was their jingle. Wonderful. The actual song.
No, it was the most terrible time of the year. So if you watched our holiday episode 2 episodes ago, I was joking around saying the holidays is really tough for actors, and I was singing. I was joking around, it's the most dreadful time of the year, and then you were like, it's the most terrible time of the year. They literally used our song.
That was your song.
Exactly. That McDonald's copied off of us. It's the most terrible time of the year throughout the entire holiday, through the entire commercial, and it was just holiday disasters one after the other, and everyone was like, this totally killed our mood. We hate this. And then you used AI. That being said, they got canceled. We didn't. Please don't cancel us.
Wait, are we AI? No.
That's true. That's true.
I haven't seen you in over a year, so AI can.
And it brings into question if you're really going to connect and engage, is AI going to be the way to do it? So anyway, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Rían. I knew you'd like that.
More of that, please. More AI shite being shot down by, because I think skewering it is the way to go. Because it's like the guy that we talked about that does the director who tries to direct AI actors and puts in prompts to direct them, and how crazy the results are. I really enjoy that.
I know.
Still don't think actors are. It's going to replace actors. Still don't think.
Moving on, word around town. I was talking to an actor, and it just came to mind. So the SAG W&Ws are happening right now, literally right now. SAG W&Ws is wages and working conditions. The past 3 years have gone by in a blink. We're renegotiating the contract that we struck over in 2023. In the beginning of 2026, they are going to renegotiate. So the TV and theatrical contract with the AMPTP, which is the conglomerate of studios and producers. Anyway, so that's been on my mind. I just got into a conversation with an actor. They also work in production. She was complaining to me about there's a certain regulation that was in the contract that they are forced to do. It's basically how they set up the set. In this case, someone is working on a commercial production. A set must be set up like these are how the tables are set up. Holding must be set up a certain way, and it needs to be up to regulations that were stipulated in the commercials contract as of now. So basically, in the WWs, it talks about every word, every regulation. It's all deliberated, right? And it just so happens that they're complaining about it, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of ridiculous. There are so many things that people are fighting for, and why is it something like this? I bring this up to another actor. That actor explained to me that stipulation was in there to protect disabled performers and elderly. Wow. Okay. Heard. If my friend who was setting up the commercial productions, if they went to the WWs, they would understand that this was part of the conversation. There's so many things, and even me who try to keep up on the issues, we would just understand why we do these things a little bit more.
I see. So if you been there, you would have been able to say, I hate the elderly, can we just scrap that?
Exactly. Can I object?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It was humbling for me because I actually do try to go to these WWs. I've been going to these WWs for the TV and theatrical contract this past 2 weeks. And it's really easy to sit around and just bitch with your other actor friends. It really is. I respectfully just say, maybe go to the WWs, just see what the conversation is like, be part of it. I just go there to listen because there's so many really intelligent, experienced actors talking about it, and as opposed to just sitting around and complaining about it.
I think that's
just
really admirable, and I think that's a really good point because, especially now, the WWs are on Zoom. You can go to these things on Zoom. You don't have to be physically in the room,
exactly.
Which is a benefit or something that's come out of the pandemic, really. But it's a good reminder because I am guilty of that. I am guilty of just kind of a bit of the tunnel vision of just the day to day and, getting the next audition and getting things together and casting websites and, making sure all your materials are in order. So I forget about the bigger picture a lot of the time, and you're dead right. Like if you know the why, then you're not sitting around bitching about that real stupid. And I think it's admirable that you do that. And I think it's kind of, it's something that I can learn from and other people can learn from to do get involved. Because I think the more involved you are, the more you care and the more you understand. So I think that's a good lesson, and it's something that I had actually signed up to go to one of the meetings on Zoom, and then I couldn't for some reason.
Yeah, actually right now, they're actually just starting holiday break now. They're going to start back up in the beginning of January. But there was actually one every day almost.
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
Just be aware. And I'm going to be really vague. I'm not actually talking about anything specific. So like we're in the current negotiations. What actually happens in the meetings, we actually can't share anything about it because it's NDA. But there was one almost every day for the past 2 weeks. Each day is a different topic. line out the door, people waiting to speak, get their question in, make a proposal. It's really busy. You know, I do have a few complaints. Like, nothing is ever perfect. We know that. But my point is if you're going to complain about it, also show up to the WWs. Maybe do both.
Yeah.
Instead of, because there's a lot of people. No, I'm not saying any names, but there's a lot of people who are actually really big, informative online. And I'm just like, hey, you could be part of the conversation because you're so smart and you're so knowledgeable, but you're actually not showing up. And I think it's one of those things where, guys, it's kind of like what you're saying is you can actually engage, you care more about being in the room is the most amazing thing. To see these people work, you also have President Sean Astin as well as other leaders. They run this thing. It's really tight ship. And then also you see all the people who really care. Otherwise, you just... I know a lot of people who think that union doesn't care. But if you go into these rooms, you see that these people are working their butt off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I'm also coming at it from a different perspective where I have some experience of working in Ireland where the union structure is very different and not quite, the union is not as strong by any means. Like Irish Equity is not as strong a union as Sag-Aftra. I spent a lot of years in the US as a non-union actor, so I understand what comes with that as well. So, and I've always been very pro-union, and I think that's just sort of a product of somewhat culturally and just how I was brought up. I've just been very pro-union. I've been a member of a number of different unions, depending on the jobs I've been doing. But I sort of couldn't wait to join the union when I first got to the US, and I couldn't wait to get a union job, which I think is like a point of pride for a lot of actors. And you're absolutely right. It's not perfect. I mean, no conditions are perfect, but having seen how unions operate in different places and the different regulations and stuff, I will say even just on a wages perspective, like the residual structure in the US. Now I know this is changing with streaming, and it's changed it quite a bit. And network TV was a really good residual structure, but seeing the way that works in the US and seeing the way it works in Ireland and the UK, it's just a very different type of it's a different way of getting paid. And the money in the US is obviously bigger because it's a much bigger market. But there's been, and this is, I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but it's somewhat democratized now in terms of where content goes because of streaming platforms. So something that shoots in the UK can be seen on Netflix the same way as something that shoots in the US can be seen on Netflix. So it's interesting to see the contrast between the conditions and the wages and the contracts in those two jurisdictions.
Yeah. And it's definitely a different strategy, obviously. And we're actually about to get into that. That's a great segue because we're going to talk a little bit about Netflix and this Warner Brothers deal. Yeah. In the short term, UK is booming and obviously Ireland as well. It's a big question as far as is the wages of all these huge hit TV shows on Netflix, are they sustainable living wages for actors long term?
Yeah.
In any country.
Yeah. And I'm not shit talking equity. I don't have as much experience
I don't think you were.
as Irish Equity. But I do know that there was some solidarity during the strikes and stuff from the unions over here. The unions now are more awareness even among people. I mean, I think people in Ireland and the UK were aware of the strikes, the actor strike, and I think just information is just more freely available now. And people sort of understand it a bit better. And I don't know if it's a result of this podcast or what, but I understand it a lot more than I used to. You know what I mean?
I wasn't sure if you were joking, but yes, you're right. We have a huge audience in Ireland. We are responsible for the unionization of the building momentum in Irish Equity. You're completely right.
I'm saying because this podcast, yes, we are.
Thanks to us, you're welcome.
I don't want to say revolutionary too lightly, but no, I just mean that I know more about it now because I'm sort of forced to look at it in a different way because we talk about this stuff, whereas I didn't really know a whole
Meaning
lot
I'm forcing you to talk about it. Yes.
Yeah, it's really annoying. Yeah, hugely annoying.
We did do an episode a couple months back. Marvel was officially, Marvel was also leaving, in the process of leaving to the UK. And we did talk about the difference in wages between UK and Europe and America. And to be fair, in that episode, we did speak a little bit about it, but there was a lot of contract negotiations, and over in equity in UK and Irish equity, there was actually a lot of progress in conjunction with kind of our contract negotiations. So when it comes down to it, it's like we're not separate in all this. We're fighting the same fight for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's beautiful to see. And then we'll see what happens in Asia. It's like, is Korea going to be?
Do you know the structure over there at all? Do you know anything about the Asian?
No, I wish I did. In all honesty, and I don't want to speak too much. I don't want to speak too loosely about it, but there is union activity. It is not winning, and if you speak to a lot of Korean actors and so on, it's almost as if they don't think it even really exists. Okay. So they are very beginning levels, and hey, with the Korea TV and film boom, Netflix is just hitting it hard, and yeah, I think they should get some fair wages eventually, and we'll see how that goes. But it's been slow going. It's been slow going for a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get into this. I've been late to the party on this Warner Brothers Netflix deal and Paramount, this love triangle. I was reading some of the details. It's very Succession-like, and there's a little Gossip Girl mixed in.
Do tell.
Everybody left and right was talking about, oh, this is horrible. Netflix is going to take over Warner Brothers. It was like, oh, Paramount is going to fight for it, and even Paramount's even worse. I was late to the party, but when I started reading up on it, I was like, wow, this is actually really interesting, and I think it's telling for what might happen to Hollywood.
Yeah,
I don't want to be alarmist, but I think it's going in a direction that we might not like. That being said, we have so many studios, so many subscription platforms. We know that these things need to consolidate at some point, and we'll just see how it goes. Anyway, Warner Brothers and Netflix, it looks like the deal is almost, aside from getting approved by antitrust, it looks like Warner Brothers is going to go with Netflix. Netflix offered $83 billion. Paramount tried to fight for it.
Didn't Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Discovery encourage their members to vote against it, though?
Against Paramount, right?
They're encouraging them to vote for this deal and vote against the Paramount hostile takeover.
Exactly. So even before the hostile takeover, this is so Succession. By the way, I was talking about this recently. I did a video about it. I think everyone is so desensitized to this stuff. That being said, I had to talk about it. Paramount tries to top it with $108 billion. By the way, speaking of the strike, they told us they didn't have enough money for residuals. And yet suddenly, all this money, it's like they were able to pony up some money for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so meanwhile, in this bid, David Ellison, who is the Paramount CEO, he's we know about the Paramount Skydance merger. He's also supposedly a big Trump supporter. He sent Zaslav a text. Zaslav ghosted him. So during the bids, back and forth, Zaslav ghosted him. I know, this is where it gets Gossip Girl.
Isn't it funny, though, how, you assume that at this level and this amount of money, there's some very sophisticated means of negotiation, and then you find out that, it's just the same as everybody else. Do you know what I mean? It's just the same nonsense and the same squabbles and the same...
It's like, who's
there's
more
a lot
petty?
at stake. Yeah, but there's a huge amount at stake for people, not them I'm talking about, but for actors and for crew and for...
Exactly. We'll get into Zaslav's bonus after this Netflix deal goes through, but Ellison sent Zaslav a text. David, I appreciate you're underwater today, so I want to send you a quick text. Please note, when you next meet as a board, we want to offer you a package that addresses all of the issues you discussed, complete certainty to strong cash value, speed to close. He said, note importantly, this is not our best and final bid. I know that despite the noise of the last 24 hours, I have nothing but respect and admiration for you and the company, blah, blah, blah. He was ghosted. And then after that was the hostile takeover, where he tried to go around the board and sent a letter to the WB shareholders to try to get it, to try to get favor around Zaslav and the board.
So we sent a "you up" text, didn't get a response, and then was like, "Fuck you."
Exactly. And let's see, the board rejected it. Shareholders eventually rejected it, and in this past week, they did a photo op. Zaslav giving Sarandos and Greg Peters a tour of the Warner Brothers lot.
I saw this. I did see this. Now,
anyway, yeah,
I will say I don't know enough about any of these people to know what's better for filmmakers and actors. I don't know much about any of them really, but I suspect that either deal is probably not great for everybody. You know, for filmmakers, for subscribers, even for creativity, for, you know, different types of films getting made. I think the more monopolies there are, the less choice we have, the less power we have, the less negotiating power we have.
Yeah, no, that's a great segue because I wanted to go into that. Now, here's the thing. None of us are Nostradamus. We're not going to be able to predict these things yet. I have a couple ideas that when I started reading it and I started looking into it, I was like, this isn't the craziest thing. You're completely right.
Yeah.
Here's how I would put it. You're right. A monopoly is not good when we're negotiating. That being said, I can argue we need to consolidate it because these individual studios are hurting. They tried to compete with Netflix. They lost. It was like, Peacock subscription, great. You're going to pay $7 for who knows what is even on it. Paramount Plus, all this stuff.
Yeah. Worth every penny.
Yeah. Speaking of shameless plug, that brings up a good point. You know what you should do this holiday? You do want to sign up for Peacock. You know, you can catch all episodes of The Rainmaker. My point is there's so many streaming platforms, and so it's so spread out. And Netflix won that game. You're not gonna beat Netflix at that game. And so, as far as legacy studios, we kind of need people to consolidate, and we kind of need them to kind of put their noggins together and figure out a solution. We don't know if this is the solution. I'm not saying that this is the solution. What I'm saying is
we need them to consolidate. Excuse me. We need them to consolidate. Why? So,
in all honesty, to compete with Netflix. I mean, this is aside from this deal. What I'm saying is the reason why I think Netflix might be troubling, if I was going to do pros and cons, is Netflix most likely is going to take all these huge properties, take over Warner Brothers, take over all their lots, take over all their IP, and lean more into streaming. And the future of Hollywood might look very much like it was for the past 5 years, where actors, writers, and creators are fighting for a fair wage. We didn't get it 3 years ago in the last contract, and we're still trying to figure out how to get freaking residuals. And what happens when they lean more into streaming, when they lean more into second screen content? If you haven't heard, supposedly Netflix execs were pushing content that is not mentally challenging so people can watch it while being on their phones, hence the second screen content. Yeah. Netflix just started doing deals with podcasts. By the way, hey Netflix, we're open. We're willing to talk. But Netflix,
would you take some of that Netflix money? You take some of that merger money?
We will speak about this privately. No, but my point is Netflix is looking to get into video podcasting. They just took over Barstool Sports. They just had a partnership with iHeartRadio. This just in, everyone. My point is Netflix has a lot of money to throw around, and do we really like the direction that it's going? So, that's one possibility of what a Netflix world looks like. And while I'm still on it, Netflix is mostly a streaming giant. Paramount had all the studio lots in the world, Paramount didn't need more studio lots and more land. Netflix actually could use it. Netflix is trying to build in New Jersey. They just broke ground on a New Jersey studio. They have a New Mexico studio that they were thinking about launching. I don't know what they're doing with that. And then on top of it, you're telling me that they got a huge UK Warner Brothers lot just now through this deal. Well, what happens? I mean, this might be good for you. Netflix has a huge Warner Brothers lot in UK. It's where they shot Mission Impossible. It's where they shot Barbie. It's where they shot Batman. And so this might be what they're looking at with this deal. And while I'm at it, Christopher Nolan himself has said in the past he would never work with Netflix. Now, keep in mind, this was a bit ago. This was 2017, but I don't know if he's making any plans to work with them, considering that he called their policy a mindless policy and that their film strategy is pointless. Later that year, he did apologize, saying that he was not diplomatic and kind of rude, but it's unclear if he ever will work with Netflix because of their quote unquote bizarre aversion to supporting theatrical films. So that's Christopher Nolan, just happens to be the best director of our modern times, and this is what he has to say about it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is great for Hollywood. I'm saying that this is one version of it. And then the Paramount version was, hey, you got this guy who might be a Trump supporter. You don't know if Trump is going to try to get involved in this deal. You also, all these deals have to get approved by antitrust. So that's another question. So Paramount was kind of saying, hey, we might be able to help get you this deal. We got extra money. This isn't our final offer. There was supposedly some money from Saudi financiers in this Paramount deal. Okay. And then to add to the mix, Redbird Capital, if anyone remembers Redbird Capital, they own the casting networks and all those things, among a million things. They helped the Paramount Skydance merger. Redbird Capital, I saw their name was in this deal too.
Name, but I didn't make the connection. I forgot.
So they all threw their money in. Hey, let's get this Paramount. So what would have happened? You can imagine politically a Paramount world taking over Warner Brothers. Politically, I can understand some people might be a little iffy, right? Among all those things, besides, by the way, Warner Brothers is also HBO Max. So all those HBO properties, all the DC properties, Netflix is going to take it over, or it could have been Paramount. Among all those properties was CNN. So just imagine what a Paramount-owned CNN would look like. Anyway, this I was totally geeking out on it, and no one gives a crap because so this is only me who's so intrigued by this. That being said, it looks like Warner Brothers is going to go to Netflix anyway, but we'll see if this deal gets done.
Yeah, it seems like there's a long road to go no matter what happens. It seems like it'll be a few years anyway before anything gets finalized. I had heard the year 2028 thrown around. I was talking to someone about it, has a bit of knowledge about it, and they're like, nothing.
Oh, is that what you heard?
Nothing will be done before 2028.
Wow.
But who knows? We'll see. All we can do, I suppose, is keep working on what we can control and show up and get involved.
That's crazy. 2028, we're going to be negotiating the next contract by then.
Which is mad. Like it's crazy to me how fast that came up since the strikes. Like it's a 3-year contract. Now we're getting into the next contract. Like it's a very short window by the time everything gets done. And like, let's see, I really don't want another strike.
I agree. I mean, in all honesty, no one wants another strike. And then there's also, when do you stop the bleeding, and how hard do you have to fight? This is basically what all of them are deliberating, and they're gonna, they're gonna deliberate more. Also, to your point about the monopoly, hey, these are all. This is what part of what the strike was in 2023. All these people are so separate and bifurcated, and it was helped us for negotiating power that Disney's concerns were different than Netflix concerns, is different than Amazon's concerns, and then here you go. If they consolidate, it's less bargaining power because of the whole monopoly issue. But we'll see. I don't think we have any better idea. I don't think the studios have any better idea. I mean, who knows? Maybe they do. We talked about it. Zaslav stands to gain $567 million if Netflix deal goes through. Anyway, there you go, guys. Yeah, that's a lot. That's our show, everyone. Hidden gems.
Thanks, guys.
Let's see. Was there
anything positive? Is there anything positive?
You know what's lighthearted is my hidden gem. So yeah, let's do hidden gems.
All right.
I got one for you. So of all of our musical talk, I'm backing it up because I'm expanding my boundaries. Someone just mentioned a new band to me. This is so hip.
Oh wait, let me guess.
So new.
Guns N' Roses. Every band is new to you. Every band is new to you. They could have mentioned anybody.
Have you ever heard of the Rolling Stones? Because I think they really got something going.
If anybody doesn't know Econ's music taste, it's
yeah. Go back to our music episode.
Very specific.
Go back to our music. Very specific. Anyway, let's get more specific. My friend just started playing this band. I love it. It's called Polo and Pan. They are a French music duo. I just want to be aware. You do not know them, right?
No.
Okay, I mean, no, it's not a test. I kind of assume you didn't know it because they're very.
Yeah.
I mean, they get a couple million listeners a month on Spotify, so they're big enough. But it's a French music duo. It's very electronic, house mixture of tropical sounds, music from all over the world. 2 studio albums and a number of successful EPs. I loved it. It was totally my vibe. Great mood music, fun. Not heavy on words, but also a lot of it's in French, so it's just kind of easy listening.
Yep.
Anyway, that's it. Polo and Pan, baby.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And I've been listening to a lot of sort of Irish electronic music lately. There's a group called Le Boom. Yeah, Le Boom, like La.
Oh, I love the name.
In French and Le Boom. They're like a duo that do, that's cite some of their influences as like French electronic music.
Nice.
That's great. I really enjoy it. So I'm a big fan of that, and I've never heard of them, so I will be listening to them.
Yeah, check it out.
I love that. All right, Polo and Pan. Surprised me there. I didn't know what you were going to come out with, but he could have come out with any band that's been very prominent for the last 40 years.
Exactly.
Mine is actually also a music one, which
nice.
was it. So a friend of the show and former guest, Patrick Massett, has written a Christmas song. So if you like Christmas music, this song is called Christmas Every Day. And he wrote it with a composer who composes for film called Maxton Waller. We'll stick the link in the episode description.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
He's Patrick Massett, for those who didn't hear the episode or aren't aware, he's a writer and producer and showrunner. Was a producer of Friday Night Lights and a writer on Friday Night Lights, the show. Blacklist, wrote the Lara Croft Tomb Raider movie. But he's written a Christmas song and he sent it to me, and I said I'd help him promote it on the podcast. So there you go. If you're looking for a new Christmas song, it's called Christmas Every Day. What
a badass. The dude is multi-talented. There you go.
He's a creative force. A creative force.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
Right.
That's my
All right, well, there you go. Perfect for the season. Season.
So there's our cheery Part 1 holiday episode.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a great holiday. If you're celebrating, be safe, and see you next time.